Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Immersive Engineering. Today we're covering the cloche. As you saw a moment ago, the cloche is a very productive and useful tool, and I'm going to show you basically how it is made and then how to use it properly. It's quite potentially one of the best new things in immersive engineering I could possibly hope for. But a Garden Cloche is here, and it's created with just a lantern, a couple pieces of glass, a couple treated wood planks, and some iron mechanical components. Will make you one Garden Cloche. Believe me, one is more than enough. Let me put it over here, and you can see that it is currently very pretty. It's rendered very nicely. It has a lot of inputs and outputs. Can look a little bit confusing, but it's not too bad. Let me open it up by right-clicking on it, and you'll see that it's got all sorts of stuff in the UI. It's actually not too bad either, as a lot of immersive engineering stuff is. It looks a bit scary when you first open it, but it's actually very simple once you start using it. So to start off with, this front area here that is just like this big flat panel is more or less just an area that you can put where is it here? A lever, so that you can shut it on and off. So we're going to do that to start with. Now, some other things we're probably going to need is going to be, well, something to grow in it. Let's right-click on here, and I can put dirt in the bottom of the Garden Cloche or the glass bell. And you can, or bell glass, I can't remember which order it is, but you can put this in here, and if I back out, you'll see it actually has rendered. Now, that's not all that you can do here. You can actually do, where is it, some buckets of water or other items. It all depends on what you want to grow the item with, or what the item is needed to grow with. So for instance, I can also get some sand in here, and let's put sand in there, and you can try growing it that way. Now, it's going to render that it's there, but it might not actually produce results. So you have to have something that's compatible, and in this case, dirt is what's compatible. So we're going to be using that. Now, on top of that, you can also add fertilizer in here. You'll see here it says fertilizer amount, fertilizer growth modifier 1.0. Let's put this in there, and it's still going to say 1.0 because it won't add any fertilizer until you actually have some water in there. So let's get some more of these tools. We're going to need a whole bunch of this stuff here. Let's just grab it all here. All right, to start with, we're going to want to put some water in here. Now, on the back side of that large plate, you'll see that there's kind of an opening. That is where your water goes in. So let me actually set this down here. You can see that says in right now. I'm going to put some fluid pipe on top of that, and it's going to not currently take any water out. If I look here, I've got a bucket. There we go. Now has 1,000 millibuckets in it. There's nothing going to be in this just yet because, once again, I have to, as I've said in the past when I covered these, right-click to make it an output. Now, it is empty, and it has gone into this. And you still see that there's nothing happening here because it also requires power. So we're going to want to attach some of that. Now, before we attach the power, actually, no, let's do the power. I've got a creative capacitor here, and there are some different areas that you can use to connect it. Now, you'll see that there's a spot on top here. Let me actually put this down here. And you can see that there is currently a little bit of like a little square on the top there. You can connect there if you like. I've got a LV wire connector. It doesn't require much power at all, so I recommend you just stick with the LV. I don't even know if it accepts any other type of power there, but you can see now it is connected. It should be good to go. It has power on the side here. 16,000 RF is currently showing, even though it works with IF. I think that was just a little typo. But anyway, this is the output area here, where your results will come. So your excess seeds or any other things that will generate from this plant will show up on the side. And those can be piped out. So before I actually start this thing, because I feasibly could right now, I don't need much water to start. You can fill this up to with at least 4 buckets of water if you want, and you can have it just constantly piping in with more water, but I don't really need that at this moment. So I'm just going to show you what to set it up with next. So you'll see that this has like a little output, a little orange. Usually orange means output in some way, as I've shown with the barrel over here. Now, with this, if I take some conveyor belts, let's actually see if I can put some here. I'm going to use a covered conveyor belt because they're brand new, and I think I can get away with it. Let's see here. Actually, it's going to be a little bit more challenging than I had thought because that darn, there we go. That's in the way. Let me grab that. I'm going to take conveyor belt here and just set this on top. And we'll start with that for the beginning. And you can see that currently it is growing. If I'll ever break this thing here, let me actually change my game mode to 1. There we go. Broken. And it is currently growing and outputting this stuff. You can see it is currently just doing that. Now, if I don't have this in place, it will actually grow and keep it in its internal inventory. If I have something that will pull it out, like a pipe, or in this case, a conveyor belt, like so. These are the new covered conveyor belts that came with the update, as well as a few other things are fantastic. A lot of things have been fixed and repaired, but you get the idea that now it can, let's actually fix this. Come on. There we go. No, there we go. It can, just start outputting stuff as you desire. And you can also hook up the power that is currently at the top here. You can also hook it up on either of these two sides at the bottom. And you can add power to it there, or you can, kind of just have them next to each other. Therefore, you can have an entire row of them. So this is just a demonstration of, I've got some water, I believe, down here. Oh, no, that's emptied out. That's simple enough to fix. I can just grab some and pour it in there. But, right here, I've got seeds. I've got fertilizer. Speaking of, I should double check that. You can see now it says growth modifier 1.25 for the fertilizer. Now, if I take this out, that stays in there. Eventually, it will switch to 1.00, and the fertilizer amount is using the amount that it has been fertilized with, which is some of the water, usually about 250 of the, millibuckets, or a quarter of a bucket gets fertilized at a time, or is counted as being fertilized. Now, of course, I'm just having this kind of go out into nothingness, so I'm going to stop that so it stops world spamming. But you get the idea. It will produce things very quickly. It is very productive. You don't even have to have bone meal in there, to be honest. But if you have not put any in there, or you have something fertilized, it will have to run through its current set before it will change to the new upgraded version or downgraded version of either, some fertilizer or no fertilizer, depending on what you're using. Now, this has multiple other mods compatibilities as well, so you might be able to use some other plants or crops, or even different fertilizers, and so on, in order to utilize the cloche, which or cloche, excuse me, which is fantastic. Now, right here, I've got an automated setup. I've got it hooked up with a lever, so you can shut it off. It instantly will stop. Now, that's not going to stop this from, like, your seeds on. What this is, if you've got dirt in there, it will count as fertilized soil or farmland automatically, so you don't even have to till it. But if you stop that, it just will not enhance it. This little light will not be working. So therefore, it will still grow at the normal vanilla speed. Once you turn it on, it will then enhance it with the little glowy particles of the red light at the top there, which is totally fantastic. I just love how it looks. Now, you could also use this with multiple other things. In this case, I have here like a cactus growing up, which looks really, really cool. I just love how these things slowly rise out of the ground. But I've got like beetroots. I've got your nether wart growing on some soul sand. I mean, it's very simple. It only requires one of each of these, and then it forever reuses them. And you can see that it's used some of the bone meal. I've got constant water being pumped in on the one side. I've got potatoes in this one. I've got sugar canes growing on some sand. And to give an example, actually here, let me grab the dirt out of this potato, which is going to stop that. And if I put the dirt underneath the sugar cane and the sand under the potato, nothing happens. You notice they just stop working altogether. And that is where you need to make sure that you have the right products in there for them to actually grow as intended. There we go, back to normal. You can even use these on melons and pumpkins. It's really cool actually seeing these things like grow and inflate and so on. It's really, really nice. And you can see that these actually start, I think, yeah, it's just about to fill the first one. And this, I just started this at the beginning of this video. Yeah, it's a bit sick and insane. So it doesn't use a lot of power. It doesn't use a lot of water. It doesn't use a lot of bone meal. Doesn't use a lot of any of your resources. So this is a wonderful use of early game immersive engineering in the works right here. And I just love it. It looks beautiful, works beautiful, is simple and clean. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If so, be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, don't forget to spread the Mischief to others if you think they'll enjoy this Mischief too. And until next time, folks, I'll see ya.